I watched them all the time. I think I watched Indiana State and Iowa, Caitlin Clark play about the same last year, so I watched a lot of basketball.
Like, can we get Caitlin Clark a little protection out there?
Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time.
What happens when one of the greatest basketball legends of all time watches the most talented young player in the WNBA get targeted by questionable tactics? You're about to find out, because Larry Bird's explosive comments about Marina Mabrey's actions against Caitlin Clark have absolutely rocked the basketball world to its foundation. But first, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a superstar player get targeted the way Caitlin Clark has been in her career? Because what Larry Bird saw during that Connecticut Sun game completely shifted his entire outlook on what's unfolding in the WNBA right now. Now, here's what makes Bird's perspective absolutely crushing for Marina Mabrey. Larry Bird has stood in Caitlin Clark's exact shoes before. Back in the 1980s, Bird reigned as the most skilled player in a league full of elite athletes who resorted to physical intimidation simply because they couldn't match his unmatched basketball IQ. But here's the crucial difference that Bird highlighted, and this is where it gets really interesting for Mabrey's reputation. Bird understands the fine line between elite competitive basketball and the kind of targeting he's witnessing against Clark. And when he saw what Mabrey did, he called it the most cowardly act I've seen on a basketball court in decades.
Marina Mabrey kind of blindsided Clark there. Oh boy. Sheldon and Cunningham are getting into it. These two teams do not like each other.
When Bird watched the footage of Mabrey shoving Clark from behind while she was dealing with getting poked in the eye, his reaction was immediate and absolutely brutal. This is a man who battled against legendary enforcers like Bill Laimbeer and Dennis Rodman, who understood what genuine competitive fire looked like better than almost anyone in basketball history. Yet even he could see that what Mabrey did crossed every single line of sportsmanship and competitive integrity. But wait until you hear what Bird said about the timing of that shove. This is where his analysis becomes absolutely devastating for Mabrey. The basketball legend pointed out something that many fans have been thinking, but nobody with his incredible credibility has dared to say out loud. There's a massive difference between playing championship-level defense and taking cheap shots at a player when they're completely vulnerable and not looking. Bird emphasized that in his era, widely considered the most physical period in NBA history, if you had a problem with someone, you faced them head-on like a warrior. You didn't wait until their back was turned to make your move like some kind of predator. And that's exactly what infuriated Bird the most about Mabrey's disgraceful approach. But here's where Bird's criticism becomes absolutely nuclear for Marina Mabrey's reputation. What particularly set the Celtics legend on fire was watching Mabrey's pathetic reaction after the incident. Instead of showing even the slightest bit of remorse or acknowledging that maybe she crossed a line, Mabrey acted like she was being unfairly criticized by the media and fans. She said, "Damned if I do, damned if I don't." But those words set Bird off even further. Bird pointed out that the truly elite competitors, the champions, the legends, own their actions, especially when those actions could endanger another player. Watching Mabrey dodge accountability and frame herself as the victim, he said, reminded him of athletes who, deep down, knew they couldn't truly hang with the best. So instead, they resorted to questionable tactics just to make a mark. Essentially, Bird didn't hold back. He branded Marina Mabrey as a second-tier player relying on dirty plays because she lacks the skill to compete through pure talent and legit basketball ability. Bird's insight takes a jaw-dropping turn and sheds serious light on Caitlin Clark. He sees in her the same ultra-rare traits that once made him one of the greatest to ever do it. That mind-bending basketball IQ, those impossible clutch shots, and that freakish court vision that elevates everyone around her. But Bird also revealed a real concern that speaks volumes about the state of the game. He sees a once-in-a-generation talent like Clark being forced to stay alert for cheap shots and foul play, when all she should be doing is soaring toward her limitless potential. In Bird's view, Mabrey's antics perfectly represent a growing problem in today's game. Instead of grinding to reach Clark's level or pushing themselves harder in the gym and on the court, some players are targeting her when she's least able to defend herself. Bird's take on that behavior? He called it the weakest form of basketball competition imaginable. And here's the kicker, the part of Bird's comments that lit up the basketball world. He said he knows what it's like to be physically targeted, to be bruised and battered night after night. But what Clark is going through, it's something else entirely, and in Bird's eyes, that makes her rise even more extraordinary. He said Clark is already facing more adversity at just 22 than most pros ever will in a full career, and she's doing it while shouldering the immense pressure of being the undisputed face of women's basketball. But it was Bird's scathing take on Marina Mabrey's future in the league that set the internet on fire, and once you hear it, you'll understand why. Bird warned that if the WNBA keeps letting players like Mabrey go after its stars without real consequences, it sends a dangerous message that average players can stay relevant through cheap shots instead of putting in the work to get better. And in doing so, he said, the league risks losing the very athletes who are lifting the game to incredible new heights. He didn't stop there. Bird argued that the league's failure to take a stand against this kind of behavior sends the wrong message to young fans watching from home. Instead of seeing the game as a showcase for skill, passion, and sportsmanship, kids are witnessing how to exploit weakness and attack when opponents are most vulnerable. But the most powerful moment in Bird's commentary came when he turned the spotlight back on Clark and made a bold prediction. He said every dirty hit, every attempt to rattle her, every moment of adversity is forging her into something even greater. That these trials are strengthening her mind and sharpening her focus, and that she'll rise not through retaliation, but through breathtaking basketball brilliance. Bird reflected on his own rookie year, recalling how players used to try to break him physically just to see if he'd fold under pressure. But Clark? He said she's enduring all that, and the unmatched media frenzy that comes with being the most marketable star the WNBA has ever seen. That's why Bird's support hits so deep. He's not just backing a gifted young player, he's standing up for what makes basketball special. In Caitlin Elizabeth Clark, Bird sees everything that embodies the soul of the sport: skill, heart, intelligence, grace. And in Mabrey's actions, he sees the exact kind of shortcut that threatens to tear it all down. The basketball icon didn't mince words. Larry Bird made it crystal clear that the WNBA is standing at a pivotal crossroads. They have a choice: protect and spotlight their biggest stars so talents like Caitlin Clark can thrive and elevate the entire league, or keep letting fringe players cling to relevance through cheap shots and dirty tactics. Bird's message was thunderous. The future of the league hinges on this decision. But now, here's the question lighting up every corner of the basketball world. Will the WNBA actually take Bird's warning seriously and protect Caitlin Clark? Or will they continue to let players like Marina Mabrey drag down the league's reputation with on-court behavior that has no place in professional basketball? So let's open the floor. What's your take on Bird's absolutely blistering takedown of Mabrey's antics? Was he right on the money, or did he go too far? And more importantly, do you think the WNBA will finally take real steps to defend its biggest star? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more coverage that doesn't sugarcoat the truth and dive straight into what's really going on in the basketball world, hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. The whole basketball community is watching this unfold in real time, and Larry Bird's explosive comments? They might just be the spark that forces the league to finally act. This story is just getting started. Don't blink.
And Indiana has done it. Their first ever Commissioner's Cup championship, knocking off the Minnesota Lynx. This is Howard setting up McDonald, knocking down the tray. Finds it cutting McDonald, easy deuce.
You won't believe what the Indiana Fever just pulled off. Missing their biggest star, Caitlin Clark, seemingly abandoned by veteran DeWanna Bonner, and staring down the league's most dominant squad in the Minnesota Lynx, they were all but written off. With MVP frontrunner Nafisa Collier leading the charge, this was supposed to be a Lynx coronation, not a contest. But the Fever flipped the script and delivered a jaw-dropping display of grit, unity, and sheer willpower. Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Natasha Howard lit up the court, turning a sure loss into a seismic statement. This wasn't just an upset, it was a defining moment. And when Caitlin Clark spoke after the buzzer, her 6 simple words perfectly captured why this victory will echo far beyond the final score. Picture this, the Indiana Fever walking into the Target Center for their first ever Commissioner's Cup final, with their roster barely holding together. Caitlin Clark, the superstar sophomore who had been the engine of this team all season long, sat on the bench for the 3rd straight game, sidelined by a stubborn groin injury that refused to heal. And this wasn't just any absence. This was their top scorer, their floor general, their national sensation, the player who filled arenas coast to coast, the spark behind every highlight, the heartbeat of a franchise chasing its moment in the spotlight.
With Caitlin and her status, just how did she look? How did she feel today during shoot-around? And is she making progress and getting closer playing?
She's making progress. You know, I think, again, top of mind, I think I told you this afternoon, is just long-term. You know, making sure that we don't have any setbacks. Making progress and feeling good are 2 different things, and we want to make sure that she feels good. We want to make sure that she's confident. We want to make sure that we're not putting her in a position to have any setbacks, and that's the priority right now.
But the Fever's challenges didn't stop there. Damiris Dantas was thousands of miles away, competing in the FIBA AmeriCup, leaving a huge gap in an already stretched rotation. Her absence meant no veteran grit, no inside toughness, and one less weapon in a game where every possession mattered.
Listo. Hey, Fever, good luck. I miss you.
Then came the DeWanna Bonner situation that left everyone stunned. This was the veteran the Fever brought in during the offseason to bring leadership, stability, and a championship mindset. And what did she do? She walked away after just 9 games, leaving the team reeling and eventually getting waived. It felt like the ultimate betrayal, abandoning your teammates right when they needed you the most, in the middle of a season hanging by a thread.
DeWanna Bonner was brought in for leadership. She was brought in for leadership. And do you want to know all that these young players learned from her? If things don't go your way, refuse to show up. Continue to get paid a max contract while you are sitting out, refusing to play.
She got benched. She couldn't handle it. I want out. She's not playing well. She's getting criticized. I want out.
Now, let's talk about the mountain they were up against. The Minnesota Lynx. This wasn't just a strong team. This was a juggernaut. With a 14-1 record heading into the final, they were the best squad in the entire WNBA. They were the reigning Commissioner's Cup champions, playing on their home floor, backed by a sold-out crowd, and led by MVP frontrunner Nafisa Collier. The atmosphere was electric. The outcome, according to just about everyone, already decided. Vegas had the Lynx favored by 14 points. Pundits called it a mismatch, a guaranteed blowout. Without their stars, Indiana wasn't just an underdog. They were being treated like they didn't even belong on the same court.
They look pretty flawless, in the way that they're playing. I don't know if different is the word as much as they look even more connected. They're a team that was connected a year ago, but really the nuance of having each other's back on the defensive end, of knowing where your teammate's going to be, discipline to coverages, the connectivity that they have on the offensive end of the floor. I mean, the way that they move with and without the ball, the way that the ball moves makes it really tough to cover. I often say that offense is like a dance, and they are flowing, man. They are making music, and there's no doubt about it. So we have to try to be disruptive, and we have to try to take them out of that rhythm.
Here's where it got brutally tough for the Fever. This was supposed to be their moment, their first ever Commissioner's Cup final, and instead, everything that could possibly go wrong did. Their stars were out, their depth was gutted, and the pressure was suffocating. The players who remained knew the spotlight was glaring down on them, with every critic just waiting for them to collapse. It was David versus Goliath, except this David had a busted slingshot, a fractured lineup, and the sinking feeling that half the army had already walked off the battlefield. Here's where things really started to unravel. Without Caitlin Clark, the Fever looked like a shell of the team fans had fallen in love with. They had dropped 3 of their last 5 games leading into the Commissioner's Cup final, blowing double-digit leads that should have been locked-in victories. Their offense, once fast and fluid, ground to a halt, stripping away the rhythm that made them such a threat. Ball movement vanished. Players abandoned the system and started going one-on-one, forcing bad shots instead of finding the open teammate. You could see it unraveling play by play, a team losing its identity right before your eyes. This wasn't the thrilling, cohesive unit that had packed arenas and sparked headlines all year long.
Coach, this is your first season with this batch of players, and so I'm just wondering if the Commissioner's Cup is just a stepping stone for greater things to come.
Well, I hope so. But at the same time, we want to take care of business now, right? We want to win a cup. So we're not looking at it necessarily as a stepping stone. We're looking at it as an opportunity to win. And then we're looking at it, as coaches, as an opportunity to continue to stack days. We haven't had a lot of consistency in our lineup, and so we haven't really built that camaraderie and connectedness that we need in order for us to be successful. But we can take another step towards growth, another step towards consistency. On the floor, in execution, in energy level. We're playing the best team in the league right now, and we've got to come out and we got to play our A game.
Let's talk about Aaliyah Boston, a dominant force when used right, but in the games leading up to the final, she was left stranded. She'd carve out perfect position in the paint, ready to go to work, only to watch her teammates hoist up contested threes instead of feeding her the ball. Boston thrives when the offense runs through her, but without the right passes, her impact was stifled. You could see the frustration written all over her face. The team's identity crumbled without their floor general. Caitlin Clark wasn't just the scorer or assist leader. She was the conductor, the voice that kept the offense humming and the ball moving. Without her, the Fever looked disjointed, unsure of who they were. Opponents noticed too. Defenses locked in on Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, no longer fearing Clark's ability to disrupt their schemes, and it showed in every possession.
What are some of the keys that you see as to how exactly you're going to do that, or what you guys need to do to approach the game successfully?
Yeah, I think we've got to be disruptive. We've got to make sure that we play with a level of physicality that doesn't allow them to just pass the ball around where everywhere that they want to pass it. So we've got to make sure that we're disruptive. We got to make sure that we're elite at our on ball screen defense. This is a team that reads really well, that moves really well. We got to be elite at the point of attack on ball screen defense. We always talk about guarding our yard, being able to guard one-on-one, so we're not in rotation early. I think for us, it's going to have to start on the defensive end of the floor, so that allows us to get out and run in transition as well. But we can't allow them to just do exactly what they want to do on the offensive end.
This Commissioner's Cup game turned into the ultimate gut check for the entire squad. Could they crack the code to winning hoops without their superstar? Could they revive the ball movement and chemistry that once made them click like a highlight reel? That uphill battle made what happened next not just surprising, but downright legendary.
Now, I thought that hate was too strong of a word at the time. Angel Reese is damn sure jealous of Caitlin Clark. She's got a lot of anger. She has a lot of resentment towards the Great White Hope. But I thought the bitterness was professional. I thought Angel Reese was jealous because Caitlin Clark is a mainstream draw.
What occurs when a WNBA icon shifts from rivalry to hatred? Angel Reese's fiery TikTok has stunned fans and left her future in serious doubt. Could this destroy her career? And why is the league staying silent?
Hey, right there. There's the picture. And Angel Reese did in fact repost this on TikTok, it looks like, and share it. And I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Or are you kidding me?
The WNBA's silence only intensifies the backlash, leaving fans angry and bewildered. But there may be a hint of justice coming. Rumors indicate Tyler Marsh might be giving Angel Reese a suspension.
But Tyler Marsh, he immediately earned my respect yesterday.
Stay tuned as we dissect what Angel Reese reposted, the rule she might have breached, and why many fans think the league is showing bias. So what exactly did Angel Reese share that's causing such a stir?
Angel Reese reposted this to her TikTok account. I know the image is blurry and filled with grammatical and spelling errors. I'm honestly surprised that whoever posted this originally was able to spell the correctly. But the message, it says, "White girl running from the fade."
Angel Reese's TikTok repost spread online like wildfire in a drought. The video featured Caitlin Clark and included the caption, "White girl running from the fade." In sports slang, that phrase means avoiding a fight or confrontation.
I'm assuming, though, that the racial connotation here is that Caitlin Clark is a scared white girl running away from the black woman. When the reality is, Caitlin Clark was just treating Angel Reese just like the rest of the WNBA audience is treating Angel Reese. Caitlin Clark walked away from the fight and treated Angel Reese like an afterthought.
Let's be honest. With Clark's face clearly shown, it seemed like more than simple trash talk. To many fans, it felt overly personal and needlessly aggressive, not just a fun dig between fierce competitors.
Reese or whatever I got told was Angel Reese about the white girl didn't want any of the fade or something like that. I thought it had to be a mistake. Somebody asked me about it and I said, no, surely to God she would not have even Angel Reese surely realizes not to repost something like that, right? Hell, I guess I was wrong.
Under the WNBA's rules, any content inciting violence or hate toward a player breaks the zero-tolerance hate speech policy. Reese's choice to repost the video sparked more than drama. It triggered widespread outrage. The timing made it worse. Clark's profile is soaring, and she's now a major force in women's basketball. But fans sensed animosity, not just competitive banter.
Talking about there's no room for hate, this and that and the other one, and you got a player that's blatantly advocating for violence against far and away your most popular player. All right, and bringing race into the situation.
Comments erupted, accusing Reese of encouraging violence, not spirited competition. One fan said, "This is crossing the line. We want to see rivalry, not threats." Another added, "You're supposed to be a role model, not someone who promotes this behavior."
Mutual respect has been replaced with disdain. And judging by Angel Reese's own TikTok account, it appears that it could be racially motivated.
The backlash didn't end in the comments. A sports podcast analyst said, "This isn't rivalry, it's a direct call for conflict." That response only escalated things. The debate shifted from whether Reese's post was edgy trash talk to whether it promoted something darker. People began to wonder if this was about basketball or something more troubling in the sport. The WNBA's silence made it worse. The league enforces strict social rules. Yet Reese's repost appeared to cross a line. Fans waited for action. None came. But when Fever fans were called out for racism, the league responded fast. That raised questions. Was Reese shielded due to fame? Was the league dodging race to avoid outrage? The silence made things feel more tense and unclear.
Right here, Angel Reese cries about racism that never happened, then goes on and reposts openly racist TikToks. This is why the WNBA is a joke and not only allows but encourages racism against white people.
Speculation spread fast. Some fans believed Reese's fame was protecting her from punishment, while others pointed out the WNBA had acted quickly in past cases. So why not this time? The league's silence spoke volumes, whether planned or not, leading people to wonder if the rules are applied fairly. To add fuel to the fire, Even when Outkick's host voiced worries, the WNBA stayed silent.
My boy over at Outkick, Bobby Burack, who's a hell of a good journalist, did reach out to the WNBA. Right here, I asked the WNBA if they had a comment on Angel Reese's racist post on TikTok about Caitlin Clark. The league had no comment, nor would it address Reese suggesting she wants to fight Caitlin Clark. So much for, quote, zero tolerance for hate.
This controversy doesn't just damage Angel Reese's reputation, it shines a harsh light on the entire league. Women's basketball has worked hard to grow its fan base and gain respect, but drama like this can drive fans away. If rivalries become toxic and the league seems uneven, it's not only the players who suffer, it's the sport itself. Fans want honest competition and fair treatment, not personal attacks and favoritism. With the WNBA still silent, frustration only grows louder. The silence is causing a bigger problem than the original post. It leaves everyone wondering, is this a one-time error, or is there a deeper issue in how the league manages its top stars?
And the WNBA is going after and lecturing Indiana Fever fans in this investigation? Are you trying to tell me Angel Reese is not going to get suspended for this, not going to get fined for this? Or is the WNBA too gutless to stand up against things like this, even if it is against a white woman?
All eyes are on the WNBA's silence. But what truly angers fans is the feeling of a double standard. The league has strict rules on hate speech and player behavior, yet this time, enforcement seems missing. The difference from past cases is impossible to overlook.
Angel Reese posted this on TikTok yesterday. Here we are, 24 hours later, and I have yet to see the WNBA launch an investigation. Well, that's strange. Correct me if I'm wrong here. Wasn't it last Thursday that the WNBA launched their No Space for Hate campaign?
The WNBA quickly rallied behind Brittany Griner within hours of her detention in Russia, releasing statements and launching social media campaigns in her support. That swift, firm response set a standard for how the league manages controversy, especially under intense scrutiny. So when Angel Reese's post blew up online and the league stayed silent, people took notice.
Sports fans are going to go after Brittany Griner over that. They're going to heckle her over that. I heard that yesterday and was like, are you kidding me? Fact, Brittany Griner got arrested in Russia for cannabis oil, which is illegal in Russia. You expect sports fans to not literally heckle her with that during a game? Have you ever been to a Raiders game, an Eagles game? You gotta be kidding me.
Fans claim that if any other player had shared this, fines or suspensions would have followed quickly. But Reese stays untouched, sparking rumors of favoritism. The irony is clear, especially from a league that frequently condemns hate. Some think the WNBA is shielding Reese due to her fame or the delicate racial issues involved. The WNBA is teetering on the edge of self-destruction, with its brightest star, Caitlin Clark, reportedly nearing her breaking point as whispers of her exit grow louder by the day. This isn't just rookie hazing, it's a volatile mix of unchecked on-court targeting, a league seething with envy toward the very player who revived its relevance, and a media machine quick to vilify the victim. Now, a bombshell rumor is gaining traction that Clark is plotting a bold departure, a seismic move that could lay bare the WNBA's most toxic truths and leave the league scrambling to recover the spotlight she alone brought back.
WNBA record. This is her second season. And you put the numbers together, that's like 10 seasons. That girl did it in 10 seasons. That means she had won a season. Caitlin Clark is... when Caitlin Clark gets to 10 seasons, she's going to have 100 of these. And y'all can't get a girl her roses. Now, I don't like the fact that she be getting woke because she don't want all these lesbians to be mad at it. At the end of the day, is the woman putting in the work, she's putting in the work.
To understand why Caitlin Clark might even consider leaving, You have to first grasp the jaw-dropping scale of her impact, because the numbers don't just speak, they roar. Before her debut, the WNBA was a niche product clawing for relevance. After she stepped onto the court, it transformed into must-see TV. Clark didn't just boost ratings, she sparked a full-blown economic surge, turning half-empty arenas into sold-out spectacles, not just in Indiana, but everywhere she played. Cities scrambled to move games into NBA-sized venues just to handle the crush of fans desperate to witness her in action, making it clear she didn't join the league, she redefined it.
This is all going according to plan. This is ideal. Caitlin Clark is holding up her end by being awesome and by being a trash-talking jerk on the court. Love it. Her teammates are holding up their end by having her back. The other players in the league are holding up their end by not liking her. Perfect. Couldn't have written a better script. Caitlin is talking trash to this girl's hard fouling her. Her teammate Sophie Cunningham, who got a black belt in Taekwondo at the age of 6, she's like, I will F you guys up. All of it's great, and Caitlin's a killer. 10 out of 10.
Her jersey became the top selling across all sports the moment it dropped, while WNBA viewership on major networks exploded by triple digits. But the most jaw-dropping stat came when Caitlin Clark was briefly sidelined with an injury. League viewership nosedived by a staggering 55%. Let that sink in. One player sits, and more than half the national audience disappears overnight. That's not just star power, that's market domination. Clark wasn't merely part of the league, she was the league, single-handedly driving its economy, filling its arenas, and effectively funding the very players and franchises that now seem to resent her for it.
Caitlin Clark is driving the WNBA insane. It's to the point that she may need to step away from the WNBA, have a billionaire come in that has the money to prove a point, and say, Caitlin, I'll pay you $50 million just to see if the WNBA can make it without you. Let's go create a complete different league and expose the hell out of the WNBA just to embarrass this Angel Reese girl that Jameel Hill just said she could go down as a Michael Jordan of WNBA.
Despite the millions she brought and the spotlight she reignited, Caitlin Clark's welcome to the WNBA felt less like a red carpet and more like a calculated ambush in a back alley. From day one, it was clear that opposing teams had adopted a singular defensive game plan, test how much punishment she could take before breaking. This wasn't gritty basketball, it was a coordinated barrage of hip checks, blindside shoves, and reckless closeouts that flirted with outright assault. The crescendo came with Marina Mabrey's infamous shove, a full-body hit that launched Clark across the court in a move completely unrelated to the play, crystallizing the hostility aimed at the league's biggest draw.
I will say this, when Caitlin Clark was out, they lost 55% of their viewership. So, basically, Caitlin Clark is paying all their salaries.
Pretty much.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can hate her as much as you want, but she's brought in millions of dollars. So you should be kissing her.
And that kind of defeated the purpose of Angel Reese's argument of she's like, hey, it's not just Caitlin Clark that is bringing all the viewership to the WNBA. It's like, well, it definitely is. It's like it kind of proved that with the viewership rating being down that she significantly increases viewership.
Dude, they try so hard to compare her to Caitlin Clark. They try so hard.
It was the kind of hit you'd expect in a hockey rink, not on a basketball court. Yet, through all the blows, what enraged Caitlin Clark's critics the most wasn't how hard she was hit, but how calmly she got back up. No retaliation, no complaints, just a quiet resolve as she dusted herself off and returned to play. Her unshakable composure, instead of being praised as professionalism, was twisted into perceived arrogance, only intensifying the animosity and making the next hit even more vicious. The message was unmistakable. You will not outshine us, and if talent can't stop you, brute force will.
The fever and sun hold a brawl and a basketball game breaks out. This was something. Caitlin Clark, without question, gets raked across the face. I think she gets poked in the eye, but it's difficult to tell.
If you're the Indiana Fever, you cannot stand by and let that happen. They need to make it clear to the officials. If you're going to let this happen, then we're going to stand up for our player and make a mess of the game, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands. So you need to stand up for this. You need to do something about this.
You've just learned with definitive data and beyond question that Caitlin Clark controls more than half the audience for the entire WNBA.
But the punishment Caitlin Clark endured on the court was only half the story, because the people responsible for enforcing the rules were eerily absent. As she was hacked, shoved, and slammed like a human piñata, referees stood by as if their whistles had vanished, downgrading blatant cheap shots to common fouls or ignoring them entirely. The message to the league couldn't have been clearer. It's open season. Even more damning was the silence from the WNBA front office, the very institution that should have protected its golden goose. They reacted faster to dress code violations than to the relentless, targeted physical campaign against the face of their brand.
A lot of us were expecting some sort of dip since Caitlin Clark has been out with injury, but I don't think all of us were expecting the entire viewership of the entire WNBA to be down. And this tweet from Christine Brennan really stuck out to me. She said, one player gets injured and more than half the TV audience for the entire league disappears. Has any other athlete ever had that kind of impact on a sport? Golf without Tiger definitely dropped precipitously on occasion, but not like this. This news is alarming for the league, and it's alarming for the league because this is such a crucial year for the WNBA.
The league's baffling inaction sparked a digital uprising. The Protect Caitlin Clark movement, a fan-led crusade where viewers turned into slow-motion sleuths, dissecting every collision, circling illegal screens, and flooding social media with pleas for a flagrant foul call that never came. It pulled back the curtain on a glaring hypocrisy within the WNBA. They craved her marketing clout, her sold-out arenas, and her record-breaking TV ratings, yet refused to grant her even the basic protections given to any other player. This wasn't just neglect. It felt calculated, a silent green light for the hazing to continue unchecked.
I am sick and tired of the way they are treating my girl, Caitlin Clark. I am here to propose a solution. I think they need an enforcer. You know, someone who comes off the bench to kind of lay the smackdown on an opposing team member. I want to get the word out to the Indiana Fever that I am available. I'm ready to identify as whatever I need to in order to get the job. They need someone like me. Why? Because I'm not afraid of any 6 foot tall lesbian. I work out. Now, I have a couple of real good go-to moves in my bag of tricks.
And just when you thought the chaos couldn't get any more absurd, the media entered the fray, not to condemn the violence, but to blame its target. Instead of spotlighting the dangerous hits, a twisted narrative took hold. The attacks were Caitlin Clark's fault. She was too confident. She talked trash. She had it coming. It was a jaw-dropping reversal that defied basic logic, especially in the world of professional sports, a world fueled by swagger, mind games, and competitive fire. Michael Jordan made trash talk an art form. Larry Bird shattered psyches before tip-off. But when Caitlin did the same, it wasn't seen as greatness. It was used as justification for assault. That's not analysis. That's scapegoating. And if this is how the WNBA treats its biggest star, then maybe the loudest rumor of all, that she's ready to walk, isn't just believable, it's inevitable.
Well, it looks like Angel Reese. Well, it looks like she's just been caught in what could certainly be taken as in a lie. All right? All these things that she says she has dealt with over the last year, all these encounters of racism.
Picture this. Angel Reese sits down for another grim post-game Q&A after getting thumped by the New York Liberty. Cameras flash, reporters hover, then bam. She drops a comment her PR team probably wanted to intercept mid-air, tearing right through the polished narrative we've been fed about Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever fandom.
Angel Reese, the most coddled, babied professional athlete in all of sports, continues to be the most babied and coddled professional athlete in all of sports, continues to have her peers say, "You go, girl. You be unapologetically yourself. Don't worry how rude, how arrogant, and how disrespectful you are. Don't worry about all the lies that you perpetrate. Don't worry about that.
The WNBA wrapped up its investigation and, surprise, found zero proof of any racist comments at the Fever game. Case closed, right? Not so fast. Because what Angel Reese just blurted out on live TV might be the actual plot twist here. The real mystery? What exactly did she spill when she thought the mic wasn't catching her tea?
Remember the guy that I guess was out there waiting for him supposedly, and when the team was coming out, and of course we saw footage of that, and there was nothing malicious to it whatsoever that anybody could see. And then of course the Indiana Fever fans were yelling racist things or making racist noises out around the court. WNBA did an investigation, found nothing.
The WNBA spent weeks investigating claims of racist comments at the Fever versus Sky game, but their conclusion shocked no one, except maybe Angel Reese and her most loyal fans. When the league launched the investigation, they went full CSI, courtside. Fans near the alleged drama were interviewed, staff from both teams grilled, and arena workers questioned like it was a crime thriller. They even combed through security footage frame by frame, angle by angle.
It is embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. And the fact is that originally it's, oh yeah, we're looking towards everything. Then they had to double down. They actually redacted this statement. They redacted a statement. They redacted the statement saying we're looking at everything, saying no, we're actually not looking at most of the stuff. We're looking at a lie spread on social media that went viral. We are looking into a literal lie spread on social media that got spoken into fact. We're looking at a lie.
So after all that digging, what did the WNBA find? Drumroll, nothing. No evidence of racist behavior from Fever fans. Investigators combed video, scoured audio, talked to eyewitnesses, and came up empty. But here's the twist. Sky coach Tyler Marsh revealed his team didn't even hear about the alleged incidents until they saw it blowing up on social media after the game. Let that sink in. The head coach had no clue until Twitter told him.
Yeah, I think we agree. I think we're in compliance with them, with the league, and obviously there's no room or space in our game for hate. So we're complying with everything that's going on.
Coach, when did you become aware that there was hate speech that happened?
I think when everyone else did. I think that it's something that we heard about, and so again, we're just forthcoming with anything that the league is able to do investigation-wise.
And get this, not a single player from either team heard a thing during the game. No coaches flagged it, and refs didn't report any crowd-related issues. The controversy? Sparked entirely by social media posts, with about as much evidence as a UFO sighting in a potato field. No video, no audio, just dramatic claims that it happened. Meanwhile, the Chicago Sky looked blindsided. Their players showed no distress during the game, no meltdowns, no sideline complaints. Then, hours later, boom, Twitter and Instagram lit up with claims that somehow escaped everyone actually at the game.
I didn't think these things would be a topic this year. It's certainly not at this point, but here we go again.
Because now Indiana Fever players, are getting called into question. Indiana Fever fans are getting called into question today. We got one post on here where somebody's literally calling, they're talking about there should be a boycott. That's what it really is, of the All-Star game over player safety.
Here's the play-by-play. Someone claimed on social media they heard racist comments at the game. A few clicks later, it spread like wildfire. No fact-checking, no receipts, just vibes. Suddenly, major sports outlets were breathlessly covering alleged incidents that, spoiler alert, apparently never happened. No one in the arena heard a thing, security footage showed nothing, and players and coaches were totally unaware until social media chimed in with, Hey, be outraged now. The WNBA's official statement said the reports were not substantiated, which is polite speak for, yeah, this didn't happen. But what the league did find? That was just the opening act for the drama still to come.
The league is also taking a big L because there's no apologies to any fans whatsoever on this totally BS statement released by the WNBA. Yeah, you found nothing. That's great. That's accurate. Guess who told you would find nothing? The entire Indiana Fever fan base said you weren't going to find anything. But this league that has never turned a profit decided to accuse their own fans.
During what seemed like a routine media appearance, Angel Reese casually tossed a grenade into the narrative we'd been hearing. She looked relaxed, maybe too relaxed, like she was chatting with friends, not facing a room full of reporters. But then, the vibe shifted. A question about the recent heat she's faced made her sit up. Her tone changed, the polish faded, and out came a raw, unfiltered response. One that didn't exactly line up with her earlier claims about being targeted by Fever fans.
3-time BET Sports Woman of the Year, Angel Reese, says she doesn't pay attention to what folks say about her online because no one has ever said a negative word about her in person. Uh-oh. So what have you been talking about for the last 17 or 18 months? Uh-oh. I hope she realizes she just admitted this and did so on camera with audio. Yeah, nobody's ever going to let her let this down now.
What came out of her mouth next? A plot twist that torched weeks of narrative building like a rom-com blowing up in Act 3. Reese basically hinted the whole thing, yep, that thing, never actually happened. She even dropped a casual, "I've never had a bad interaction with a fan," like she was reading from the opposite day script. Then she pivoted to the dangers of internet drama, saying how things get twisted and people jump to conclusions without a parachute of facts. The way she said it, it sure sounded like a quiet admission that the controversy wasn't nearly as serious as everyone thought.
Yeah, obviously don't worry about what's going on online. I get so much love in person. I haven't ever had a negative encounter in person ever. And I've been going through this for 3 years. I've never had an encounter in person that was negative. So people online are behind a keyboard for a reason. And I don't worry about that stuff. I trust my work. My teammates trust me. And I was telling Milla today, like, she felt like she was having a rough day. And I was like, how many times have I had a rough day? And you picked me up. So don't get down on yourself. I know my teammates have my back, my coaches have my back, and that's all that really matters. I don't have to prove anything to anybody but myself and my teammates.
This confession drop-kicked everything we'd been spoon-fed for weeks. The saga had been that Angel Reese and the Chicago Sky were trapped in a thunderdome of racism, tormented by Indiana Fever fans like it was a twisted, sports-themed Game of Thrones episode. Headlines screamed, "Protect the players," as if the WNBA needed to call in the Avengers. Reese was cast as the damsel in distress, needing rescue by the league and a squad of ride-or-die teammates. But now, reporters glanced around like characters in a heist movie, realizing they were double-crossed. You could feel them thinking, wait, did we just witness history or the plot twist of the decade?